Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Everybody's ready. Everybody in the whole wide world. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, pull a Yui, park in front of the music store with the red neon light. Like and subscribe, tell your friends, be on the show with me, reach out, don't be afraid, and have your very own podcast here in our beautiful studio. Dave will tell you how. We are here today, finally. Everybody, I've heard your name. Everybody's like, when you going to get him? When you going to get him? When you going to get him? Now. We got you. Mr. Tom Dest. There he is.
Yeah, you tracked me down, in fact.
I did. Well, I got sick of people. I got sick of hearing it. And I just said, you know what? Let's end this. Let's do this. Let's get it.
I got to tell you something real quick.
I'm ready.
I didn't want to do this.
Why?
Well, I really, that opens a can of worms, the why thing. So we won't go there.
Do it for the people that want you to do it.
Yeah. Well, the way I saw it is that if John pursues this, that means I have to do it. Which turns into I want to do it.
Oh, man, well.
Got that? So
I do.
Good. Great.
Well, you know what? Do you know Dave? You know Dave? Because I told him you were coming. Dave Kosminski. Dave Kosminski. You'll know him when you see him.
Okay.
I told him you were coming, and he was like, oh, okay. So Dave asked me to do this. That's why I'm doing it. And then I asked you, and that's why you're doing it. This is the way it's going to go.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, why not? So we had the big creative music reunion, or whatever you want to call it, for Bob Gatson memorial kind of get together 2 weeks ago now. And we're still in the, I went there to collect some scalps. I got to be honest. I was going to get guests. Boom. I was like, I'm going to get people that I know I can get on the show. That'll be great. And boom, there you were. So you're here now because of that. Partially, right?
Yes.
Makes sense. Because I was because your name kept coming up. So then I was like, boom. Then you came up and said, I love the show. And great. Done. And here we are.
And I even wrote a story about it in a letter to my friend. The whole thing that happened, why I'm here.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did.
Do you want to share that with us at this time? No?
Well, it does start when I used to see you play a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm confused.
Yes.
May I ask, did you play with Bert Teague?
Yes.
I did see you.
Sure.
I remember seeing you and I went, oh my God, that drummer, he's so good.
Really?
Yeah. I was so attracted to your playing back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
It must have been a long time ago.
It was in the 80s. I believe it was the 80s.
Sure. That would have been.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where it started. That's where it started. Then I saw your podcast and I said, oh my God, that's John. I know him.
Yeah. No, I've been around, but you've been around too.
We both have.
Yeah.
And we never met until creative music.
Right. Yeah, that's cool though. No, I like it.
I think that's so funny.
That's the way it should be, And I like these kinds of shows that I do because I don't know the answers. I don't know your story, so start telling it. You know what I mean? So Tom Dest, drummer. What else? Other things, not just drums, because you were playing mallets at the thing.
Yes. All right. So musically speaking, right? I have another part of my life that, which is a very spiritual side.
We'll get to.
But we'll talk about drums, music rather.
Yeah.
I really started with somewhere around 1970, a fife and drum corps. I ended up joining the Colonel John Chester Fife and Drum Corps. That was my official training.
Cool.
Before that, my mom and dad brought me toy drums from Grant's supermarket.
Sure, I remember Grant's.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
So I broke the first kit, went through the heads, and then they gave me another toy drum set, and I broke that one. Then they finally said, we got to get you a real drum set.
Yeah.
So that's where it started.
Mm-hmm. Where?
That was in Wethersfield, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
A Wethersfield story.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Wethersfield, and
cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I live in Berlin, right over there.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Were you born there?
No. I grew up in Wallingford. I've been in Berlin all of 3 years, and now I'm
you're in Connecticut.
I'm a historian.
You've been in Connecticut. Okay, we're both Connecticutites.
Oh yeah. Totally.
We both never met each other until just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we've both been in Connecticut all this time. That's crazy.
Killer.
Yeah.
So, drum corps, you gravitated towards that. You were like, that is the thing you want to check out first. Seems like.
It was because it was the first formal training that I was able to. Well, you know what it was? There was a flute player up the street. He used to play the flute, and he belonged to this Colonel John Chester. And I kept hearing him, and I loved the songs. And but I don't know what happened. I can't remember this, but my mom and dad, my mom said, do you want to join that? And I said, yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah, and this was like, just before Creative opened.
Wow. Okay.
So what happened? Should you ask the question or should I?
No. Hey, do your thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. So I was in the fife and drum for 4 years, and at the 2-year mark, which is 72, 73, my mom said, "Hey, this music store opened up on Silestein Highway in Wethersfield."
Yeah.
And we'd been there since 72, and right around 73, she said, "Do you want to take lessons there?"
Hey.
And I said, yeah. I was so excited because I was doing very well. I practiced a lot from the get-go.
Yeah.
I was really drilling those rudiments, the 26 rudiments, because I was in an ancient fife and drum corps.
Okay.
And I drilled those rudiments, and then my mom and dad saw how serious I was even at that early age. And it wasn't hard to do because I just have to interject this. I had 3 older brothers and kind of a domineering father, and my expression was squashed. I couldn't speak. So
Right.
I was like, I know I went to drums because it was like the only way I could speak.
Sure.
And so
As long as you learn these 26 things that we're going to show you.
Oh, yeah, and I was happy to do it. And I was
That's
happy.
cool.
I was totally happy to do it. There was no argument with me because, again, it was like, give me something to do, and, that so I don't go out of my mind.
Yeah, right.
Right? Just trying to hit things.
Sure.
And, drummers hit things,
That's how we all start. Yeah.
get the frustration out, right?
And then but we realize that it just creates more frustration, and then we just endlessly here we still are. You know what I mean? You think it helps, it just makes it worse. Anyway, I don't know. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Oh no, it's not. I think that happened to me. The same thing, which is why I went to my meditation practice. But that's maybe we'll get to that. Maybe we won't.
Yep. But there you are. So creative, and you're like, sounds like a good idea. So not rock and roll drumming, really.
No, that came later.
Okay.
But for the mainstay, even still, jazz is my first love.
Okay.
And creative. When Bob opened the store, he was in a rock and roll band before.
Sure.
But by the time I got to creative, he was totally into jazz.
Yeah.
And he was playing vibes at the time in a band, or his band.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my main mentor for probably a good 8 years at creative, and I just stayed with him for a long time.
Yeah.
And he led me. He said, "All right, Tom." He saw me playing drums. He saw how serious I was practicing, and he would stay later and keep me on longer if someone canceled. And then I remember this. This was so funny. He said to me, I'm in a lesson, a few years with him now, and he says, "Tom, you're going to make a living at this, so you really need to take another instrument like vibes, because it's going to help your drumming." And it was like, I didn't say I was going to make a living in this.
Yeah, right. Right.
It wasn't in my mind.
Yeah.
But he said, "You're going to make a living." I was
Wow.
I was like, okay.
Hey, that's cool.
And again, he was my mentor. I leaned on him, and he got me playing vibes. I took vibe lessons from him, and I took piano from Joe Rice.
Wow.
And then there was all these ensembles at Creative. There was these jazz ensembles, ear training ensembles, sight reading ensembles.
So like you say, this is back in the day, so I read your thing.
Yeah, right.
It was the music center. It was more everything.
Oh, yes.
Not just drums. That came later, kind of.
Right.
Okay.
Right. There was a lot.
So there was a lot of opportunity, a lot of things you could do there.
Tons. It was full time for me.
Yeah.
And in fact, literally in high school, the high school I went to, which was not a public school.
Okay.
They were the first Capital Region Education Council's program.
Okay.
The very first one, CREC.
Okay. Yep.
And it was an alternative school called Shanti. And they gave me credits for studying at creative music.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's cool.
Got school. It was heaven to me.
Wow. So you just did everything they had.
It was heaven on earth.
Did it all.
I did everything. I stayed after. I did it. I studied really hard.
Wow.
I was doing a lot. My practice went up to I got up to 8 hours a day practicing on all this stuff.
Wow.
I was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your parents,
in that way.
Well, your parents must.
We're all
happy.
nuts, but I was nuts in that way.
Yeah.
We are all nuts.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Good nuts.
Yeah. Were your parents happy that you were showing discipline or whatever?
Yes.
That helps.
They supported me. I had the greatest parents.
Hey, that's cool. That helps.
Yep, they supported me financially, paying for the lessons, and they supported me, with the vocation.
Sure.
It was like, they drove me to gigs when I started gigging.
Wow. And what were the first gigs like that you did? That's him. Do you know him? Dave Kuzminski.
No, I do not.
You don't?
Well, maybe I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
There he is.
Hi, Dave. Hello.
Hey, thanks for coming down.
Tom Dest. That's him. You've heard about him.
Yes.
That's him.
Live
We don't need the lights, do we? Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right, the lights are on.
The lights are on.
Okay. Yes, you could see each and every pore. Here we are. All right. So anyway, so what were the gigs like that you were playing at that time?
Let's see, I was 15 years old,
Wow.
and I did some local gigs. And it was like I was freelancing from the get-go. So I didn't play with one band, although there were like maybe at that point 3 bands that I played with steadily.
Okay.
Occasionally getting a strange gig. And this is funny. I actually started taking drum lessons from Bob Moses, who was coming to Creative.
Sure.
And he took a liking to me, and he actually gave me some of his gigs in New York City.
Whoa.
And I was 15, 16 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
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 And my parents drove me down because I
Wow.
was underage. I couldn't go in there without them.
Wow.
So, I mean, those are the parents I had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. And
sure.
that was the opportunity that I was given. I see it as just a beautiful lila. Lila meaning it's a Sanskrit word for play.
Okay.
It's like the world play. We're all on a stage in this world,
Yeah.
and we all have these things happen to us. And that was one that was just an easy one for me because it was, right? It was the field that I like.
Did you understand then what Bob Moses saw in you? Did you know then, and do you know now what he might have seen in you? Because that's pretty heavy.
I would say this.
Yep.
It was more of a chemistry than anything else.
Okay.
I mean, because the people that studied with him were good players, just as good as me, but there was a chemistry between him and I, and he just liked my chemistry. We just gelled creatively wise.
Yeah.
And that's really what bound us together.
And he knew that you'd be able to hang with whatever gigs he gave you.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously he did. Yeah, and he did. And I could have went further with him. I actually, at 18 years old, I looked for an apartment in New York, right in his neighborhood, and I found out that I did not like living in the city.
Oh, really?
I like visiting it.
Yeah.
But I did not like living in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've never lived there, so.
Yeah, right. It's for some people, and some people it's not, right?
Did he live there then?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. And I used to stay over.
Oh, you just said that an apartment near him.
What's that? Oh no,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't say this. I used to stay at his apartment on
Yeah,
weekends.
right.
I'd have to make my mom would have to make carrot cake for him. Because if I didn't bring carrot cake, and that was the exchange. I stayed at his place for a weekend, and then he would pass off some gigs to me.
Did Bob Moses always give you your mom her pans back, her plates back?
No, because she did it in a coffee can.
Yeah.
and he loved that, because
funny.
Bob was a little offbeat. So my mom was a little offbeat too. So that he loved the fact that everyone else coffee cans.
Okay.
It was like there was a world to him.
Yeah.
Carrot cake.
That must have been quite a kind of a mind-blowing experience. Like you're in New York City with Bob Moses. Like, boom, there you are.
It was mind-blowing, yes, it was. And It was actually when I think you're making me think about what experiences, and I did a lot on my own.
Okay.
I explored also. Like I did a lot of walking. I went to the jazz clubs.
Okay.
When I wasn't playing, and
Yep.
that was most of the time I spent going to concerts and listening to them.
So you took full advantage of the proximity.
Oh yes, I did. I had a beautiful New York experience back in the 70s.
Wow.
Just
That's cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
It was cool. It was just my fate at that time, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
So there you are, just soaking it all in. What were his gigs like? The gigs that he gave you, what were they like?
Let's see. Well, one of them, the first one, I think I did maybe 2 or 3 of those. Was it was in a small? They were always in small clubs.
Yep.
And they were in Brooklyn. I think they were all in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And the first gig I played with was like the guitarist played with Charlie Parker.
Wow.
And whether he sat in with Charlie Parker or played in his band, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Ernie Krivda, he was a sax player that was always on the juice, and he used to tour in Europe with some, I can't remember what bands. I remember him saying they weren't jazz bands, but boy, they all can play, and better than me.
And this is like
experience.
straight ahead. Like, what is this?
It was it was some of it was straight ahead jazz. Some of it was I want to say modern jazz of the 70s.
Okay. Not fusion.
No, there was
Not
jazz.
quite yet. Okay.
It was it wasn't fusion. It definitely had. It was just like jazz.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
like all the chords were like
Yeah.
things were kind of loose and
And you're up there figuring it out.
yeah. I was figured out, and I was a little nervous, but Bob assured me. He went to my first gig. He really assured. He always encouraged me.
Yeah.
Again, it was the chemistry.
Yeah.
It was just that. He was kind of mean to other people, which, that tells me that, I'm nothing special. It's just, again, that's why I say it's the chemistry. It was the chemistry. It's just like, how we get along with certain people and other people we don't.
Sure.
That's all, right?
Yeah, I don't get along with anyone. So I think I know what you're describing, but I don't know the feeling.
Yeah, actually, right now, John, you pissed me off. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
See you later, bro.
Thanks a
Bye.
lot. Yeah, see you later. Thanks for. There he goes.
No, you're a beauty. You're a beauty. Are you kidding me?
Well, so
Yeah, I always found that.
always at first. Everyone likes me at first.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well,
That's wild.
Well, I've known you since 1980s. Or seeing you, I've you get to know people.
Oh, man.
How you play is an expression of yourself. See, I feel
Sure,
all those things.
sure.
And it's like,
Sure.
it's like there's love there. That's what I feel.
Wow.
That's what I felt, and that's what I feel.
Hey, that's cool.
And that's why I came.
I can't. Well, hey, that's cool. I can't even imagine. I don't know. Well, this is not the same subject, but I can't pinpoint it. But I feel like when you say that, it reminds me. I can't even imagine what I must have been playing like, because I've gone through what I consider to be at least one, if not two, like major revolutions in my playing. You know what I mean? Where I just said, nope. Let me start over. And this approach, I can't even imagine. You mentioned Bert Teague, like in the 80s. I have no idea what I would have been playing like back then. I know it would have been too fast. I know that.
You were playing a lot of incredible ghost notes. You had an amazing amount of strength.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You really played in the pocket. You didn't overplay.
Wow. Holy crow. Okay.
You were really musical.
Well, maybe
I'll tell you what.
Maybe I had
sound
already
like.
gone through my revolution. I just can't. I can't even imagine.
That's what I remember vividly. Actually.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah. I hope I'm not putting you on a spot too much by all
I
this.
talk about
But it's just true. We talk truth, and
Hey.
and I've learned. I'm not going to wait till I die before I tell someone. Did I speak sweet words to someone? Because we tend to do it when someone dies. I'd like to say it when they're living. That's just
Well, hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I do too.
Hey.
Thank you for your music.
Hey. No problem. No, I dig it. I'm glad. I love music. I know that feeling. I know how it feels to be turned on by music and someone's playing. I was a music lover first. I don't know if you were like that, but I still am a music freak. Like, love music always. And playing was just an extension of it. So I do understand that. that part of it. I wasn't drummer first. It was like, I want to get involved in this. How do I get involved in this? And that came later. And it still remains. And I play less than ever now, but more music, listen to more music than ever. It's weird.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when I saw you...
I think that's who I am at the core, as a music fan first. I think that's what I am. The drumming is...
right.
Whatever.
You love the music. And,
Yeah.
and that's what... And okay, so great. See, that's a lesson I had to learn. And Bob Moses...
Well, everyone's different.
Moses... No, listen. Bob Moses put that straight for me. I remember him saying, Tom, because I think I fell in love with drumming first. Honestly. I'm just going to be honest.
Sure.
And then he said, look, you have to... It's the love of music. And let that be first. So if a song calls for playing less or next to nothing, then that's what you do, because it's for the love of the totality of the sound.
Sure.
That's what he said to me.
Sure.
See, when I saw you, you had that already. You had that.
I don't want to talk about me, though.
Okay. All right. I won't. I know, right? It's supposed to be a podcast.
Yeah.
So no, we can go back. No, very, very good. I appreciate that.
But here you are, Bob Moses, New York, then what? Playing Bob Moses, his gigs, and then what?
And then I just started freelancing. Since New York didn't work out, I just stayed in Connecticut, and I freelanced with a bunch of different bands in Connecticut.
Okay.
That's how it went. I mean, I think I counted over 100 bands for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, over 100.
Whoa.
Because and probably more. I kept. I can't remember all the gigs I did, because sometimes I would play with a band once and I never see them again.
Sure. Wow. And what kind of stuff primarily?
I was doing, it really was all over the map. At that point. One thing I didn't do was rock and roll.
Okay.
Loud music. I didn't. I at that point anyway.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything loud. That came in my 30s. But
And there were 100 jazz groups?
Well, no, they weren't all jazz. They were wedding bands. Some of them were, private you played private parties. Country bands. I did play in a country band. I played in a Greek band. They were all Greek. I did that for 3 years.
Wow, that's cool. That's got to be interesting.
Yeah, that was not a freelance. I was with them just pretty much exclusively for 3 years. Oh yeah, that was.
How do you approach that? Is there a drum set tradition in Greek music that you got to?
Yeah, you get paid less. Drummers get paid less.
Okay,
I never liked that. And then and it was drum set, and it was very simple stuff. I mean, really, really simple. Like you know how the two beats go, boom, chick, boom, chick. So, but these were in odd times. So you go boom, chick, boom, chick, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, chick, right. And they play all this, the bazookas, and they play all this stuff over the bar. Amazingly so.
Oh wow.
And then the hardest time signature was like the slow 11. I would always lose tempo during those. And
wow.
And they would smile at me when I lost, but I'd get back in.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful experience, but
wild.
But it was just drum set, and there were slow 11 thing was a little bit different. It was kind of like a march almost, and but they were pretty much what I had said about two beat being in different odd time.
But it was cool though. You were like, okay, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Find the music in everything.
Yes.
Find the music in there.
Yes. I always had a yearning to learn and I think that's why I love freelancing, because I love being in situations that I didn't know I was getting myself into.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes it would be Dixieland.
Yeah.
I remember playing some old Dixie. I mean, these are guys that are not here anymore, but they were like Dixieland. And I remember doing that with them, and and they were older. I oftentimes played with people that are older than me, especially as I was, when I was younger.
Yeah,
they were
me too.
almost always older.
Yep. Best way to do it.
Yeah, right. And so I did that because I wanted to learn. I just had this craze for always wanting to learn, and I'm going to say this now.
Yeah.
It's funny to me to be the best drummer in the world.
Hey, are you?
No.
Tom Dest, best drummer in the world. But you thought that's the goal. Like who would award you?
What's that?
Who would give you the award?
Oh, I gave myself the award.
Oh, okay.
No, I never attained it though. Right?
Right.
It's like we were saying earlier. The attainment isn't there.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Sure,
it's
sure.
like beat the drums
Sure,
to get out your frustration, but you realize that's not really going to do it.
Right.
And so I realized, you know,
But at least that gave you something to shoot for. So you're taking it all in. Because in your mind, you're trying to be the world's greatest drummer.
musically, it helped me to learn musically. It did, because it drove me. It drove me to
That's
learn.
what I'm saying. You know,
okay.
if you already thought you were, then you wouldn't be learning anything.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
You're trying to
yes.
get it all.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
You're right on. You're
Yeah,
spot on.
Something like that. Dave tells a story. We've heard this story before. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I have experience. I'm a good mimic. That's my thing. Like I can imitate any style of music pretty quick. Like I can kind of, okay, I think I get it, and then whatever. And that's part of my reputation. And Dave, one time, he had an in at some at a frat house over in Wesleyan. He's like, oh, they call me up. They want a drummer to come and play for an alumni function. There's some old timers. They're gonna play and whatever. And I just said, okay. Do you know what kind of stuff? Dave says, I have no idea. Okay. So I show up at the frat house, just bring a small kit, no idea. Everybody's watching a football game elsewhere. I'm in the house all by myself. And all of a sudden, 1 million people come rushing into the house, and these old timers come in with horns. And I'm like, and they're like, you the drummer? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, what are we playing? They're like, Dixieland. Didn't you? I'm like, no clue. I'm just like, oh, okay. They said you could play anything. I'm like, oh. But yeah, that was my one and only Dixieland gig. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. I got through it, but yeah, it was funny. But the old timers, I was like, oh, luckily I'll be able to figure this out on the fly a little bit. Just like, okay, let me just figure this out. But yeah, that's the feeling. And you're just kind of thrown into it.
I could see you doing that, no problem.
Well, I don't know about that, but anyway. So there you are, 100 bands, and then what? Just kind of doing it, still doing it.
Well, I think that takes into how there's different stages.
Yeah.
Different stages.
Yeah.
So what's 1983. Woo-hoo.
Okay.
Yes. So everybody keep this confidential.
Yeah, sure. It's okay. I only got about 100 people anyway, if we're lucky. Oh boy.
No, what happened was that being the greatest drummer in the world thing, I got my big break with Matt Guitar Murphy.
Oh.
Right. I went on a road with Matt Guitar Murphy.
Nice.
But I thought it was a big break, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's like I played so many other bands that I liked more than this one.
Well.
But
that was post Blues Brothers though. That must have been a good gig to have, right?
It was musically. I mean,
Sure.
musically, they all really good players, and again, I was learning a lot musically. And the problem was with me.
Okay.
Nobody else. I just, I had started drinking alcohol somewhere around 16 years old.
Oh, okay.
And you can see where this is going. And by the time I was, 23 years old, 1983, I was on the road with Matt, and I hit a bottom during that time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Everything turned miserable.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. It was, and I was not a fall down drunk. I was able to play, no problem.
Sure.
The problem was the mental addiction, the mental addiction to the alcohol.
Sure.
I relied on it, because of so many factors.
Yeah.
And so I hit my bottom in '83, and then I eventually in '84 I quit Matt Guitar Murphy because I went to see a therapist, and he, first thing, what it was, I went to, I quit the band, and then I really went down.
Oh, wow.
I was already down, and then I went,
Yeah.
then I went down for a summer.
Because now you're unemployed on top of it.
Yeah, I was unemployed. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything
Yeah.
except drink. And then, so one thing led to another. Serendipitous. Some woman hit me in the parking lot, and but it was a small dent. But she left and left a little card. She said, "I put a little dent in your car. Please call me." And I flipped the card, and she's like the director of alcoholics abuse at UConn. So I called her up and said, I don't care about my car,
Yeah,
but you can do me a favor. Can I see you?
Wow.
You know, because I wasn't sure I even had a problem, even though I had a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
So she said, yeah, you definitely have an alcohol problem, and
Whoa.
you should get some help. And I started to get help.
Wow.
Yeah. So I stopped playing for 2 years.
Wow.
Because I remember this therapist at the Institute of Living, he said, you know, you want to stop drinking? I was like, you don't even have to ask the question. You don't even have to ask that question, but he did.
Yeah.
I said, of course, I said yes. I was, you know,
Right.
And he said, well, stop playing. Stop playing. Get out of bars. Change everything.
Sure.
You know, don't hang out. You know, because I hung out with musicians. That was all I did. I didn't really have a bad crowd to hang out with. It was just me drinking.
Right. And those are the good old days. No one's an alcoholic. We just drink.
I mean, right.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, that was a big change in my career because I had to do something, and I got into teaching music.
Yeah, right.
Kind of like what I saw you do
Sure,
coming in
sure.
here.
Oh,
Once
yeah.
again, we have
Sure,
something in common.
Sure.
And I dove into it full time.
Hey, that's cool. That's kind of my story too, more or less.
But everything I just said?
Kinda. I mean, not so much the substance abuse, but just, I got to get off the road, you know? You know?
No kidding.
Yeah, kinda. You know, in a way. It's like, this is better, you know? I would play gigs and it just, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here. Why am I doing this? I just felt like it was over, but I didn't know it was over. And it was like, let me try to make it be over and see what that's like. Mm-hmm. And I felt better. And I'm like, maybe it was that part of it. Now I don't mind playing. But anyway, so I know that feeling of like shutting the door.
Yeah.
You know, just going, oh, wow.
That's what you're describing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wow, it's a big jump.
Yeah.
It's a real big jump.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But teaching's fun.
I had a blast when I did it.
Yeah. I still do. I have a blast.
You have a blast. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's it helps other people, you know. It helps other people become drummers, and
I hope so. It's hard to know.
I think that's inevitable. John.
Well, I can't, you know, whatever. So you started
it's like you want someone to grow, feed them food, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, I never know. I don't know. Hey, whatever. Just trying to, whatever. It's not about that. I just, trying to help them understand that something is achievable, that you can do something. I can help you figure out how to break it down and go at it, and you can do it. And if they learn nothing else, that in life, you know, just like you can figure this out. You just need someone to kind of break it down, slow you down a little bit, and just take a look at it. You could do that. Yeah. And if I do that for kids, that's fine. It's good enough. I don't know if they're going to become drummers or not. No idea. Hopefully.
Right.
But I mean, at least that.
Yeah. It's a real giving, if you ask me. You know.
I think so.
Yeah. It's and what we were given.
Yeah.
A gift.
Right.
You know, and
Sure.
And now we could share it with those that are just coming into the world. You know, and that's
I hope
huge.
so.
That's huge.
I hope so.
I mean, you know how education is so important.
Yeah.
It's and this woke me up because my guru, my spiritual guru,
yeah.
you know, she really talks about how important education is, and I never really understood her words. And I remember watching this documentary recently, and it was about a village in Africa where they didn't have wells, and people were getting sick and dying because they didn't know how to build wells and get
pure water out of
pure water,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it took them to get educated by those who knew, in order for them to stop the sickness.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just an example of every aspect of life that I've learned. That I mean, you know, the roads that we ride on, the microphones we speak into, down to going to a bathroom and having it be clean. You know, believe it or not, even cleaning it takes an education.
Yeah, right.
No, it does. Trust me. I had to clean up. I took care of my parents for 12 years, and I had to clean up a lot of mess.
Wow.
And I have become a real good cleaner.
Yeah.
And so where I live now, I still have to clean up after my roommates.
Oh boy.
And I hope they never watch this.
Yeah.
So I'm dead.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So so I do it undercover.
Yeah.
But the point is teaching. Teaching. I think it's more important than we really know to educate others. I really, really do.
I hope so.
Oh God. Well, I can tell you It is.
Well, I had great teachers. I had a
Did you?
lot of people. Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
What would you do without them,
Definitely.
right?
Right. No, for sure.
Where would we be without them?
Yeah, no. Yeah, nowhere.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So taking teaching more seriously at a certain point, and then there you are. Right?
Yeah. Yes, there I am.
So when your name keeps coming up, what do most people remember you for? That's the question.
Hopefully for being kind.
Okay.
I hope.
Yeah, well.
And being a respectable person.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. But, when I think about title,
Yep.
that would be drumming.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's what I did most of.
Okay.
I did play vibraphone. I went
Yep.
to, I did do some gigs and all that.
Yep.
But it's drumming when people talk about,
Yeah.
that person, Tom Dest,
Yeah.
who is here for a short time.
Yeah.
Then that's what they're, that's what they remember that, that
That's cool. No, everybody's,
that character as.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know at the time. So you were teaching at Creative, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I taught there from this is what happened when I went into teaching in '84. By '85, I was teaching at Creative.
Wow.
And I got on the staff in '86, which meant full time now.
Yeah.
And I stayed on as a teacher until the end, until 2002.
Oh, wow.
I did it for 20 something years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were just one of those people in the basement that I never met,
Right.
that I would hear about, but I never went down there.
Yeah.
There was like, I had Frank Jaguar here, and I was like, you're a real person.
Right.
I would hear about him, but I never saw him because
you were down there.
I never went down there. That's funny.
I know, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
Isn't it? It's
crazy.
another world,
Yeah, I guess that's what they say.
Yeah.
So once you started teaching there, that's what you mostly did most of the time.
Was
Teach, like instead of gigs. So you never went back to like a...
I was gigging part time.
Okay.
I did after the 2
So
years.
you managed to kind of get back into it
After
with
the
your
2
head
year
on
break
straight. Yeah.
from '86 to '87, I went back in '88 as a freelancer.
Yeah.
But a lot less because I had the teaching.
Sure.
I just did weekends, I think, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then the teaching, the freelancing went on until it was 2002, I think 2005.
Wow.
I stopped playing.
Okay.
I stopped playing out. I stopped my professional drumming career
Yep.
as a freelancer, and then I kept on teaching until I think that drumming stopped earlier. Somewhere around 2000.
Okay.
And then around 2007, is it 7, 8? Here we go, right? I have a sheet printed out of these major dates, but I stayed on as a teacher, and somewhere around 2007, I believe that's when I stopped.
Okay.
It could have been, yeah.
Well, where after Creative in between? So Creative was done in 2002, correct?
Yes.
Does that sound about right?
Right.
So where were you teaching after that?
Dynamic percussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I did that for like 6 years, maybe.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So 7.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Art passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was that?
Shortly after he sold Dynamic Percussion.
Right.
About 2 years after he sold it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you decided that's it for teaching. You decided that was it for teaching.
That happened. Here we go with the spiritual life.
Oh, okay. All right.
We have, I guess, if you want to know my.
Why not?
Okay. I have a great guru, and she's a seer.
Okay.
Like she could just see things that because of the consciousness. But I just remember her saying, she gave me a vision when I went to see her. She didn't say any words, and the vision I had was, everything that's happening in your life is happening because you're going to be taking care of your parents, right? So I had that vision, and of course I didn't totally believe it, but I did know it was true deep down.
Okay.
Because of the emotional experience at the time that vision happened. A year later, my mom got sick. She started getting, forgetful.
Okay.
And then that's when I started taking care of her.
Okay.
And then I don't mind saying this. I mean, then my family decided to take care of my rent so that I could take care of my
Right.
mom.
So that became your
So the income
Sure,
came
sure.
from my family. So
Sure.
I didn't have to do, I totally left my career. I did not
Wow.
want to,
Wow.
because I didn't really want to go full-time, take care of my parents, which was never really full-time, by the way. What ended up happening was it was perfect. It was like my mom only needed part-time care, very part-time in the early stages. And then I had all this time to work on my spiritual practice, which had begun in 1984.
Okay.
When I
Kind of
dried
cleaned
up from I actually got right into spiritual life, meaning just certain spiritual disciplines.
Okay.
I got involved with a girl. She was very spiritually oriented, and we
Sure.
did we did a New Age church at the time, and
Sure.
and I started just because quite honestly, in order to really get sober, I needed divine providence. There's many names for that
Sure.
word,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
God,
Sure.
Jesus.
Yep.
Everyone has a different name.
Whatever.
To me, it's all one.
Yeah. Sure. Of
So
course.
I like the name, the supreme intelligence, the supreme consciousness.
Sure.
The supreme intelligent consciousness, right?
Yep.
The formless consciousness. So, which is within. And I thought that I was just finding that. I was finding, or better term for that, if you ask me, is
Yep.
divine love.
Okay.
Unconditional divine love.
And there you were,
'Cause we
taking
all-
care of your mom.
Yeah. And there I
Now
was.
you got to practice it. You
Yeah.
actually got to walk the walk.
Boy, the darn guru. Boy, like the guru I have, she gives no quarter. As soon, I slipped into her slowly, but she grabbed. It was kind of Cupid. She was like the Cupid of the angels. She just, you just wanted to be with her. And then once you were with her, and once you just said, "Okay, I want you to be my guru," it was like that's when, when she went, "Okay, we're gonna go to work."
And then things start to happen.
And then things start to happen. Like, you start to open up, and you're.
That sounds frightening.
It is.
In a way.
It is. You have to lose yourself.
Like I'm like, I hope I never meet someone like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Part
you
of it.
actually have to lose yourself. You have to lose
Sure.
your,
Sure.
the ego, the identity.
Yeah.
This whole, like,
sure.
I am this person.
Sure.
I am a drummer. I take care of my mom. I do this. I
Oh,
do
I
that.
know.
That whole thing just has to
Yeah.
go, and it's like really serving out of unconditional love, which means I get nothing back for this.
Yeah.
I have to do this because it's going to bring me to peace, even though I don't know how, and I
Yeah.
don't understand it. Because that's the other thing.
I
about
guess
this.
that's what they call faith, right?
Oh, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Yes, exactly. See, I think we all know this
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So there you are. Now you're taking care of your mom.
Yep.
Yeah, that's heavy.
It wasn't.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No,
Well,
it
that's
wasn't.
good.
Oh no. It was like when I surrendered to the process, which maybe was 2 years in,
Mm-hmm.
and then it became really because it was it's like, and this is one of the things I'm learning in spirituality. It's not the outer circumstance; it's the inner stance.
Okay.
I had to change my inner stance about the situation, and when I did, all of a sudden my mom became like this child that I loved taking care of, and I started to realize she took care of me as a child. So why can't I give this back to her?
Yeah.
And she became like a child because of her
Right.
dementia, Alzheimer's,
Right, sure.
her forgetfulness. I just
Sure.
call it forgetfulness. So so it was a wonderful experience, and the prayers that I had been working on for myself. And these are devotional prayers
Yep.
that are put to music, by the way. I was playing piano.
Oh.
Yeah, doing a lot of piano at this point. And then, just sometime composing the lyrics, sometime taking other compositions, and most of it, John, not all of it. Some of it was in American, hymns. But I really became in love with the Vedic hymns, stuff from India.
Okay. Yep.
And such beautiful melodies and harmonies, and then I would put jazz chords to them.
Yeah,
But
right.
I would play this for my mom. I would pray
Wow.
this for my mom. It was
Wow.
like pray. It
Yeah.
was really the same thing. And then we did. This is just. I really got to share this. And over the years, by the time in her last year, when she was, they found a heart condition, and she was told you're not going to live past very long. She got quiet and changed. And she became more lucid, more clear. Her dementia gone, wiped away, like
Really?
like Jesus made the blind see.
Yeah.
That was my mom.
Really?
That's what happened. And that was all from that prayer. You know, I mean, it wasn't me praying. I mean, I did pray, but I was belonging to groups now. Remember that we're praying for her. A lot of prayer went her way, and man, it was like she became this, like I've never seen her so clear in her life.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the beauty.
And how long did that last?
6 months.
Wow.
6 beautiful months.
Wow.
Yeah, she had her struggles because it's
Sure,
hard.
sure,
It's hard to
sure.
leave the body.
Sure.
Very hard to leave the body.
I can't imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
So she was struggling with that, when she was learning the mistakes that she made with her father, with my father, her husband.
Yeah.
She was learning a lot of things. She was waking up. She was like looking at why she went south, because that's what happened with her. I'm not saying this for everybody, but her dementia was that she turned away from the problems that she was having with her husband and wasn't dealing. So she just became forgetful. But again, I saw the whole thing happen, and
wow.
That she awakened to the whole thing, and she started to actually unconditionally love her husband, my father. And the whole thing was just absolutely otherworldly. Yeah. So I mean, to be there for that, and to play music,
that's crazy.
music is my thing. It was that's what she.
So if you didn't learn music, if that wasn't your realm, there was a reason for that too.
There was a reason. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So divine providence used me.
Sure. Sure. Wow.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Maybe you have another question.
All I'm saying is wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gee whiz.
Yeah.
And then what? I hate to say, and then what?
Yeah. Well,
and then what?
So I'll make this rather briefly. Then I took care of my dad for 4 years.
Wow.
Because he went into a depression after his wife died, and he was more difficult to deal with because he was very angry. But even then, because I didn't do this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I needed 12-step programs, anyway, won't get into all that, but
sure.
I had, put it this way, I had spiritual support. I'll put it under one umbrella.
Sure.
And it really helped me be with my dad. And I saw some breakthroughs happen with him, like my mom, maybe not as big, but they weren't as big as my mom's, but they were definitely breakthroughs.
Wow.
And so, so I took care of him for a couple years, 4 years, and then until he passed. And then talk about a big change, right? So,
oh boy.
Then it was like all my instruments were up in the attic. My parents used to let me keep them up there. When Creative sold, I moved them up there.
Sure.
Because I had room down in the cellar for my instruments. Bob let me have a couple.
Sure.
And so, oh my God. So I sold 90% of my instruments because there was nowhere to put them.
Right.
And it was like this gigantic change.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, but I didn't need them anymore.
Right. Well, I was going to say that was part of your identity, part of your thing.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes. I know, and that's hard. Like when we all go through that. I know we all go through that. Every human being goes through that, and that is such a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to everybody. That when we go through those things, where we just lose this major part of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
yeah.
Every morning, in my meditation practice, we good? In my meditation practice, there's this prayer is Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, and it means may all beings be happy. May all beings have a blessing. May all beings, get through their hard times with as much grace as possible. And that's a prayer that I say for the world.
Sure.
And beyond in other worlds. It's like it kind of, if you do something every morning, it just grows.
Yeah.
It grows. You just something happens.
Mm.
And so anyway, we just talk about losing all this identity, and I guess I just wanted to say it was like, oh yeah, like I'm the only one.
Yeah,
no,
right.
No, not really.
Well, at least you're facing it. Like you say, people lose their identity, or they lose things just like that.
Yeah.
And are not equipped at all to even. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I wish we were talking about drums right now.
Well, we could. Well, you know what? It's all music.
Well, hey.
It's all music.
Right. Sure.
I mean, why do we make music? How are songs created? From life experiences.
Right. Totally. Yep.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah. Yep.
And we all have those life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We all have them.
Yep. For sure.
Yes.
All right. So, not playing much. Who cares? You don't care. You're not playing much.
I actually,
and you're okay with it.
At home, I'm playing quite a bit.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah. I mean, when I say not much, it's like probably, I spend an hour on music every day.
Yeah.
I would say on average.
Yeah.
And I make recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a one-man band. I have my drum, I have my octopad with
Sure.
my cymbals set up down cellar.
Yep.
I'll put down a drum part, then I'll put vibes on top of that. Then, I'll get to the keyboard and I could get access to bass, all the other instruments.
Yeah.
And sometimes vocals.
Yeah.
I'll sing. And so like, that's my love.
Yeah.
That is my love. I love doing it. And all those songs, I mean, I can't help this. It's just where my life is. It's like they really are. And people have asked me, well, Tom, what's your religion? And I say, well, I say what my guru says. My religion is love.
Sure.
And although I tend to use a lot of the prayers that come from the saints and sages from India, not all of them. I love Mother Teresa, by the way.
Sure. Shout out.
Yep. That, where was I going with this? Where was I going, John?
All right.
You asked me a question.
Music playing. I know. Well, it was you're not playing much, and then
the recordings.
Right. The recordings.
Right. So I put all this. My recordings are essentially spiritually oriented.
Sure.
You wouldn't know it. Like I share them on Facebook all the time. Through SoundCloud and Reverb Nation. I got tons of songs.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know listening to them. But the thought that goes into all those and where the experiences come are, I want to find love. I want to find how to love whatever I'm writing about, or whatever I'm, whatever this is, whether it's an instrumental or a vocal song.
Yep.
And so that's my cat's meow, and it has been for quite some time, long time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yes. And so that's, and a big part of my musical life too is also coming out to see musicians play.
Okay.
And I don't want to overdo you.
No.
I hope I didn't make you feel embarrassed. Is to go see others play and just enjoy what my love is.
Yeah. That's
right?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm always sending love out though. That's my problem when I play. I'm not sure where it all comes from all the time. I don't know if it's only that yet, but that's okay. Get there. Figure it out.
Well, we're all trying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, the last thing I want to do is profess that I'm some loving being.
Right.
Hell no, I am a struggling being. And I get angry at times. I get jealousy. I get jealous. Right.
I was going to joke. I was going to say, I have plenty of love. As long as everything goes right, then I can feel the love. And that's the big joke. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Of course. Oh my God.
Right. You know what I mean?
The big dilemma of life.
Yeah. Only if the conditions are right, then I can love everything. It's just going to go around and around.
What Swami
funny.
Paramatmananda says this. He was giving a spiritual talk, and and he's these guys are like, I mean, I look up to them like drummers look up to Vinny Colaiuta,
yeah, sure,
right, and Buddy Rich, right,
yeah,
and you look up to them spiritually, and here's Swami, who's got all this incredible to me amount of spirituality behind him, and he says, unless you're completely like, I don't want to, how does he say it? Unless you're like ascended soul,
sure,
or completely in the gutter, and you have no sense about anything, then the rest of us are in the soup.
Right. I was going to say you're in play. Yeah, you're
which is most everybody.
Yeah, from here to here. Yeah, that's like I had a young student on me who's saying something about, I don't like your haircut. You got too much forehead or whatever. And I said, dude, I have a lot of hair for someone my age, actually. And he goes, well, how old are you? And I said, well, how old do you think I am? I'm 57. He goes, "Oh, you're 42." I said, "I'm older than that." He goes, "You're 72." Like somewhere between 42 and 72. I'm like, dude, it's in there. In that soup, it's kind of like what you're saying, somewhere in between. I'm like, is there no it's like when you're young, everybody's old. You're like, what's the difference? 40, 70, it's all the same. It's all in there somewhere. Great, which has nothing to do with what we were talking about, but yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we're all in the soup. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
We got to wrap it up. I don't want to, actually. So come back anytime.
Oh, that's sweet, John.
Well, no, I mean, this is cool. It's definitely something for sure. Wrap up questions. I don't know if you've seen the show. Desert Island albums, a few. Just a few albums, all-time favorite albums of yours that might help us define you musically in some kind of way.
All my favorite albums.
Yeah.
Okay.
5.
Okay, great.
You know?
Sure. Yeah. This is past, but I still love it.
Sure.
Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland.
Sure.
Freddie Hubbard, Red Clay.
Okay. Yep.
John Coltrane, Live at the Village Vanguard.
Okay.
5. That's 3, right?
Yeah.
It's like I nailed another one. Oh, God. I started losing it at some point.
That's all right. I mean,
there was one Motley Crue album when they switched drummers, singers, when they switched singers.
Oh, right.
Not drummers,
yeah,
singers.
Yeah.
The
grunge. Yeah. John Corabi. Yeah.
Was it John Corabi singing?
Yeah.
That my favorite album.
Wow.
Oh my God, I do love that. I love
so
Tommy
funny.
Lee's playing. My God.
Yeah. I do too.
So that's another one
That's
I'll
funny.
say,
Yeah.
and I have one more, right?
Sure.
Boy,
Yeah, right.
You know what? I'm gonna say my own.
Hey.
I love my own. I love myself.
There you go.
I love my music. I
Hey,
listen to it all the time.
if
Be
you're
honest
not-
with you.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
why not?
Not egotistically, because I
I
don't
know.
really believe it came from me. It
Sure.
comes from source.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
so I have to say, absolutely.
I hear you. All
Yep.
right, we'll go with that.
Yep.
Go with that. Desert Island food. I don't know why I find that
My favorite
interesting.
food?
Yeah.
My favorite food.
If there were no restrictions in life.
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I truly love kale.
Oh, wow.
That is one of my favorites.
Hey, we found the one person, Dave. The one person.
That isn't pizza or something like that.
No, that actually likes kale.
Sushi,
Kale.
Hey, that's cool. All right. Good for you. That's good. That's the
Yeah.
way it should be. Name me one concert or show that you've seen that changed your whole thing. Boom, in one shot. That caused you to reevaluate everything. Can you?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So one concert. All right, I will say something. Yes.
Or just a show that blows your mind
yes,
that comes to
yeah.
mind.
Back in creative music during those early years,
Yep.
70s.
Sure.
Emil Richards.
Oh.
Emil Richards. You came in with a kitchen sink,
Yeah,
pots, pans, bowls,
Yeah.
iron rods. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
this stuff was like, what?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And he
Makes Bob Moses look standard.
mainstream.
Yeah. Mainstream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Emil Richards. And that changed my whole perspective.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Good question.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to. The thing is, like, we talk for an hour. You never know how the conversation is going to go, and I just try to get things in that will at least somewhat define, in case people just can extrapolate from that. Like, okay, what kind of person is this that we're dealing with, or whatever, talking to?
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's all it is.
That's great questions. I love them. I love it.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Highlight of my month.
Hey.
I have highlights in my month. Like I have 4 so far, and I write them down, and this is one of them.
Wow.
Yep. So I got that goes in my
Man,
letter.
you got to put your bar a little higher, I would think.
No. He's kidding.
Of course.
Yes.
No, I appreciate it. No, I'm glad. And like I always say, the thing is, like, this is for anybody. This is just for the people that want to see you talk for an hour. That's all it is. The service. You know what I'm saying?
Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I get people, oh man, I don't know. I'm not excited. Your people will love to see you. You know what I mean? So,
I get that because I love to see the people.
Right.
And,
right.
And
right.
so
exciting.
it works both ways, and
Right.
I totally get that.
Right.
That's why I was like, I had to come.
Yeah. Why not?
Because it was like something was calling me.
And right. And then also I'm just saying that your name keeps coming up, and those are people who want to hear you speak your mind. So that's why we're here. So you know what I'm saying? All right. I'm going to press the button. You're not hearing this, but There it is. Tom Dest was here, finally, right? Awesome. Tom Dest. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, pull a UE, park in front of the music store at the red neon light. Woo! Yeah, all in one breath. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, be on the show with me, reach out. We're still riding the wave of the Bob Gatson Memorial. We're still doing it. Tom Dest was here. Thank you. Have your own podcast here in our very own beautiful studio. Dave will tell you how. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.